Welcome to the MatrixWorld, your go-to resource for applicable, real-world tips and insights to help you create a successful, sustainable, mission-based business. Hosted by Karen Curry Parker and Michelle Vandepass. You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or any other podcast platform, and learn more about our virtual co-working community at thematrix.world.
Hi, I'm Karen Curry Parker. I'm here with Michelle Vandepass. We are the founders of The Matrix, the world's first virtual co-working space, and we are talking this morning about your best year ever, and what does that really mean? So, talk to me, Michelle. What is 2019 going to be your best year ever?
Yeah, who knows, right? I mean, it's certainly going to be a really fun year. It's going to be a good year. It's probably going to have some blah moments in it, because most years do. We all have moments of greatness. We have moments of okay. We have moments of blah. And we have moments of breakthrough. And all of that is great. And when you have momentum behind you and your business is doing well, then you keep that going. You keep that flow going. So there's this whole thing about having your best year ever that I just want to rethink that a little bit, because we build up all these expectations, right? And then if January doesn't turn into your best month, it's like, oh, it's like dieting, you know? It's like saying, well, if you have a bad day, your diet sucks. So if you have a bad January, or you didn't have your best January ever, there's a self-fulfilling subconscious sabotage that goes on that, oh, I thought January was going to be my best month ever, and it's not. So I wonder what that means for my year. Mm-hmm. But how am I going to know if it's my best year? I'm not going to know that for 30 more years out, right? But what's cool is that I know that there's some momentum. The energy is here to help our businesses, to help our personal lives. It seems to have really been lacking in the last couple of years. It felt like really stop-start energy. And this year, it feels like we're moving into a space where there is some energetic support for us to really have good years financially and to accomplish things, to have things blossom the way we want. I hate the word manifest. I used to love that word. I've gone off of it.
Yeah, I think it is, because I think it sort of precludes, first of all, it precludes magic. Secondly, I think it sets us up when we use the word manifest. I think we're failing if we haven't manifested the results of our goals, you know. And I want to add a couple of things to what you said. When I look at the astrology of what's coming up in 2019, I compare it to 2018. 2018 was just a perpetual, nonstop cycle within cycle of birth and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. Like every micro cycle, every macro cycle of every planet has been death and rebirth. And that cycle of death and rebirth is really over. And we do see in 2019 the potential for a lot of momentum. But I want to go back and talk really quickly just about something that you said, because I think we get so locked into the materialistic definitions of what is your best year ever, especially in business. And we think that's money, that's profit, that's impact, that's visibility. And I'm not saying that those things aren't awesome and cool and great to experience in your business. And your business will always, no matter how successful you are, have cycles of that. And you'll have years where you'll be more visible, you'll have more impact, you'll have more reach, you'll make more money. And you'll have years where, you know, you may just be maintaining the status quo. But I think the piece that causes us to spin off into either despair, or, you know, we lose our bubble around our business gets burst, and we kind of, we were joking this morning, you go into your office and you start to feel like every second of your day is like playing American Gladiator or running an obstacle course, right? And I think I like to think of it as maybe making next year not so much the best year ever, because as you said, I'm not going to know if it's the best year until I croak, but maybe make it a meaningful year. because you can't control we can't control a lot of what's going on. And I think we've certainly all had that experience this year of feeling like, okay, I did everything right, and still, it hasn't quite panned out the way I thought. And there are a lot of elements going on outside of our control completely that we can't do anything about. And I don't know how it is for you, but I mean, my clients have been complaining about the government, the energy, the environment, they feel very powerless. And you may not have power over that piece. You might not even have power over, okay, this is a year of foundation laying in your business, because I think we go through those cycles where you just have some years where you're setting yourself up for growth, but you have to do your homework and lay the platform for it. And that's not always exciting. Sometimes that means you're writing 567 opt-in reports or whatever that, bore you to death. But you do have control over how you respond to it. You can go into your office and say, okay, I'm going to create a meaningful place, a point of contact where I'm going to build a relationship with people. And because I so love this place of service that I'm in, the way I develop this point of contact, this beginning relationship with my potential clients, is going to be this place where I give love into the world. And that's where I cultivate meaning. And that's where I'm going to get excited about showing up for it. And maybe it won't be meaningful in the material way, or the best year in the material way, but it might be really meaningful in the heart way. And that, I have a new theory. I want to float this out there next year, that, we talk a lot about your thoughts create your reality. I think especially in business, your heart creates your reality. And if you want to have an awesome job, and you have a great boss, and you're your own boss, and you are your own best employee, and you love your work, you got to be creating from your heart. And that makes it meaningful. Maybe not best, but meaningful. And that in and of itself is really the tally of the measure of the value of our day-to-day existence, I think.
Yeah, I love that. Create from your heart and not from your mind. That's a very intuitive concept, but one that we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You say that and then it feels so obvious. Well, of course, because I want to come into a job that I love. And especially with the people that we talk with, we're always talking about, what does your heart say? What intuitively do you feel? Which way do you want your business to go? We're always talking in those terms. And then it feels like the outside world is always saying, okay, now write down your thoughts and mentally think about what you want. And so there's an alignment, I think. What I hear you saying is express your heart, and then I like the piece of writing it down, because I teach that as well, but it needs to come from your heart first.
Totally.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that approach. So what would be the best year ever for you? What would that really look like? So what does your heart say, Karen, about what your best year looks like?
I think for me in 2019, in fact, I'll show you guys this. You can't see this necessarily, but on my door back here, I've been crafting it out on paper. I have had the privilege of training some extraordinary healers over the past couple of years and serving some amazing clients. And for me, a really meaningful 2019 would be for me to find some really brilliant ways to support my practitioners that I've trained and my students, and create multiple streams of financial support so that they get the material value of the service that they offer. And also, I just really want to watch them and witness them step into the value of who they are and what they bring to the table, because I think as new practitioners, sometimes they're nervous and they're afraid, and they're so good at what they do. So I want to see them really own that. That's where my heart is next year.
Nice. I like that. And interesting, because my vision is also about supporting other people, which would make my business successful. And that's a piece, I think, that when we're goal setting, we forget to take into our account, what is our purpose? What is our mission? Why are we here? And it's rarely about us. It starts with us. So Okay, I've got to back up for a minute, Karen. Let me just think this out loud, because I'm always talking about how your purpose is for you first, because it has to be something that's so deep inside of your soul that you have to express it, that if you don't express it, your soul will die, right? So I come from that place. So our business and our purpose and how that aligns has to be from within ourselves first, but it has to be how we serve others. So it's how does what we want to express inside of ourselves help the planet, help others, help humanity, help the animals, help the food, whatever it is we're serving out there. And so I'm enjoying this conversation, even though I'm kind of talking out loud what the thoughts that are happening within me right now, because that's really how we can best express our heart, I think, about what our best year is. Align with your purpose, and then who are you here to serve? And so my best year also is about how can the people that are in the matrix, especially, right? All these people that are in here co-working together, building their businesses, launching their projects, writing a book, whatever that is for them. How can I really support them to go have successful best years, whatever that means for them?
Totally. And I think that's the heart, I think, of what we do here in the Matrix is we do give people that support and that sounding board, and even just connecting. Sometimes it's not, I'm leading this or you leading that. It's about the connections that people make in the process of being involved in the Matrix that give them support, and even that mirror back to, who is the heart? What is the heart of what I'm doing and the heart of my business? And how can I lead and create a business with heart? So many of our Matrix members are what I think in the past you and I would have called heart-based entrepreneurs. They're doing the work that they're doing because they want to serve the world. They take such joy and pleasure out of that. And I think sometimes in the material day-to-day grind of, I got to do my accounting and I got to figure out which calendar system to use and apply for a TED Talk and go through what the editor just sent me back from my manuscript, which is like hell, right? That in that day-to-day grind, when they drop into the Matrix, they get reflected back to them that, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing it. So that your day doesn't feel like, American Gladiator, but instead it's like, oh, okay, these little things that are coming up that are, like go for bopping is the metaphor I keep coming up with lately. When you go to the arcade and you do go for bopping, that's how sometimes the day can feel, right? At work, you're, instead of doing go for bopping, you're going, oh, these are the things that I need to work through to bring out the highest expression of my heart in my work. And we always, I think, reflect that back to each other, both socially and even educationally in the Matrix.
Yeah, you can't be heart-based and be on a desert island by yourself, right? And I think, well, speaking for myself and many people in the Matrix, we see ourselves as introverts, and we hide behind the computers and we write and we do blog posts, and we may be extroverted, but then we go back to our holes behind our computer. And that works, and you still have to get your work out. You have to be visible. If you're not sharing what you're here to do with the world, you're just in your own little bubble. We all are. We have to get our work out. We want to change the world. We want to live in a better place. We want humanity to be more conscious and loving. And so we all have to do our pieces to get our work out in the world, because that's how it's going to change. That's how we're going to be in a more loving, conscious planet, environment, humanity. And so anyone who feels like they're an entrepreneur and they can't be part of a community, I so resonate with that. And you got to push yourself through that. I had to push myself through that. We have got to do what we're here to do. The time is right now. if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you need a push, if you feel like I don't know how to get my work out there, please contact me, contact the Matrix. We will help you. This is the time. I am so passionate about that. This is the time we have got to get whatever it is that each of us do has got to be out there in the world right now. No more waiting, no more preparing, no more waiting for timing. The timing is now. That's my soapbox.
Totally. I hear you. Preach, sister.
Yeah.
So, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're winding down for the end of the year here. However, as we wind down, we're winding up at the same time. It's like one of those toys. And our wind up is actually really cool. We have energy behind us. We're getting ready, both you and I in the Matrix and personally, and everyone who's a member right now and anyone who's going to be joining us, to really go forth and do what we're supposed to do, what we want to do, what we love to do. And I'm looking forward to this year.
I am, and I'm looking forward to all the cool things that you and I are kind of creating behind the scenes, because we've got some cool stuff up our sleeves for next year. So it'll be fun.
We do. Hey, thanks for conversing this morning, Karen.
Thanks for being here and conversing with me and reflecting heart back. So
Yay.
Thanks for listening. Want even more of Karen and Michelle? Don't forget to subscribe and head on over to thematrix.world to join our growing virtual co-working community for even more amazing content and coaching.